we will soon be meeting Sir David Attenborough to present him with the Winsome Constance Kindness Gold Medal for 2012. I'm looking forward to meeting this gentleman enormously. I've admired him for so many years. I just can't wait to meet him now.
I don't know what to say. I'm very touched indeed. You're extremely generous. I feel I should be wearing a tie. You're very smart.
Well, I do look like a pallbearer, don't I? This goes back to the days of when I was a merchant banker. And that's it, sir. That's for you.
May I look?
By all means.
Oh.
Before I forget, so that is for you too.
That's wonderful. It's all very... it's like a fairy story.
The three of us have been fans of yours for longer than we care to remember, and we are so grateful to meet you. Peter Singer told me that it's an experience I will never forget, and I think that's true.
Really?
He said that I'll never forget meeting you.
Really?
He did.
Gosh.
And so did Richard Dawkins, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, I met him about 2 months ago here in Melbourne.
Oh, really?
People in our world, we never honour each other. We're always fighting with each other. Whereas in law or banking, people are always getting awards.
Yeah.
And nowadays we're having people actually apply for it, people from the UN and strange places like that. Of course, they're not going to get it. It's reserved for really great people.
Well, I'm very, very honoured. Very honoured indeed.
Our strategy is basically to stop human beings from wiping out the forests and the oceans, get the livestock industry under control, particularly in South America, right across. In fact, nowadays India owns the biggest, largest dairy herd in the world. Africa is being raped and pillaged beyond belief. We're trying to get people to take a deep breath and reappraise how we're going to live in the future. And that might mean we have to do things like change our diet, for example.
I agree. We can't give up. I mean, for the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and so on. I mean, supposing our grandchildren said, grandfather, you knew what was happening and you did nothing. You didn't even speak. You didn't. That would be awful. Yes. So we have no alternative but to speak the truth as we see it and do what we can. I would like to think that the programs I've made over the years have made people aware of the natural world, yes, and of what is at stake. And although the future does look bleak in many ways, the fact of the matter is that if you compared it with what it was like 50 years ago, there was no awareness of conservation. There was people just pillaged the land and pillaged the sea without any thought at all about what they were doing. I mean, even in Britain, half a century ago, there were perfectly respectable towns that would pour raw sewage into the sea on the grounds that somehow the sea was infinite and that it would sweep it all away, and that would be the end of that. Well, there has been a huge change, and particularly young people. I talk to young people, and young people are passionate about whaling, about forest destruction, about all these things. And I do have hopes that there is a worldwide change of morality, because it is morality. And I don't think that you just say, we ought not to exterminate this species because it's advantageous to us in this particular. That is not the point. The point is that it is immoral, in my view, to pillage the land with no view for the consequences. It's immoral to waste things. It's immoral to waste energy. And sometimes people say to me, oh, well, moral issues are not the point. Yes. And it's not actually true. If you look back at the 19th century, in a period of about 30, 40 years, the world changed from thinking that it was perfectly acceptable to have other human beings as slaves. Yes. And 30 years later, 40 years later, it was intolerable. And I'm hoping that there is that kind of change of morality, of attitude, which right thinking people are beginning to purvey, and that the younger generation, which is coming on, feels this. I really think they do.
Well, I used to have a fairly apocalyptic view of the future, but I think hearing it come from you has given me you've recharged my batteries. I read in Nature magazine that by 2048, all our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and the arteries of the earth. 10,000 species are wiped out every year because of the actions of one. And when I get up on a stage and I speak to large audiences, the lobby groups say that they don't need me to preach to them. It's not that I'm preaching, I just see the sense of urgency. You do need to preach to them. But I'm so pleased you said there is a moral issue as well.
It is a moral issue. It's not. We aren't saving the planet because it will benefit us.
Right.
We're saving the planet because it's a moral issue, immoral to do otherwise.
Yes, we're rather anthropocentric, aren't we?
Very. I don't spend much time trying to calculate whether it's going to be okay with it. All I know is that we have no alternatives to do whatever we can.
That's right.
And who knows? I mean, human beings are extraordinary. They are an extraordinary species.
Yes.
And we have done extraordinary things. I can't believe that a species that could send somebody to the moon can't handle these sort of problems.
Yes, yes. The shared vision will do it.
I've just finished a film. I've just been working on a film about plastic in seabirds, and there's a really tragic sequence in which an albatross, a female albatross, comes back after journeying right round the Antarctic, collecting food for its baby. Wonderfully heart-stirring business. It comes back to the baby, and you can see the baby then reaching up and beg, and then the parent regurgitates the food, and it is all plastic. There's not an ounce of nutriment in it.
That is a crime of unimaginable proportions.
It is, and that shot in itself in this film that we're working on now, I hope will have some consideration.
It'll stop us cold in our steps, I think.
Hope so.
When would that be? What do you think?
Next year.
Brilliant. Well, you're still as active and as prolific as ever, I see.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. I've enjoyed
Long may that continue, sir.
I'm enjoying myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so delighted.
Yeah.
I know you have other appointments, so we should not take up too much of your time. But we'll be watching you tonight.
Well, thank you very much again. You are extremely generous, and I'm very, very honoured and flattered.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
have
you.
a nice night and enjoy your stay in Australia.
Sir David, if there
Yes.
was one thing you could say to the Kindness Trust audience, what would it be?
Gratitude for everything that the Trust is doing. If there were more people like the Trust, the world would be a better place.